Good day. We're here to look at the topic of work today. And we are going to be emphasizing work for some time. Why we're emphasizing work is that our nation has a chronic work problem. Very, very chronic work problem. And it is costing the nation billions of dollars. Work ethics are poor. People are not understanding the value of work. And so this is really a very pertinent social issue. Now, as a pastor, the problem we have is that many Christians bring the same work attitude into the church. And they are not seeing that how you address work is critical to your entire Christian witness. To them, becoming a Christian has nothing to do with work and how I work and whether I work. It has a lot to do with whether I fornicate, my sexual purity, but it doesn't have to do with work. So the series of videos that we'll be doing on work will seek to address that issue. We're very concerned about the national problem, but we're even more concerned about the problem in the church. Because as Christians, we're to be torchbearers. We're supposed to be setting the cue, and we're to be setting the light, we're the salt for the rest of the nation. So we're going to be looking at the whole matter of work in a series of videos. And to me, this is the introductory video. And to set the stage, I wanted to have a little background on work as far as the Bible says. And we need to remember that work began to be mentioned in the Bible from Genesis, from the book of Genesis. The Bible is speaking about work, and God is talking about work. Work started actually in chapter 1 of Genesis, but was first mentioned in chapter 2. Now, you'd say, oh, but I looked through the concordance, I see no mention of work in chapter 1. No, but God began to work in chapter 1, and the work that he did in chapter 1 was the work of creation. By chapter 2, he mentions work. And I'll just give you some references very quickly so you can look at them for yourself. It is mention of work in chapter 2, and he mentions work in chapter 2 verses 2 and 3 actually. And he mentions himself working. So God is a worker. And that's the first thing we need to understand about the theology of work as we do this series. We'll be doing a lot of interviews, looking at issues and problems pertinent to our context. But we need to know that God is a worker. And he portrayed himself as a worker from Genesis straight through the Bible. So in 2 and 3, chapter 2, verses 2 and 3, he mentions himself working. And you say, okay, so God works. Jesus, when he was on earth, he underscored that in John 5, verse 17, when he said, my Father works. My Father is still working. And he says, I am working. So my Father is working, and I am working. So if you have God portraying himself as a worker, we need to be workers. Another thing we need to understand about the theology of work is that the Bible says we're built in the image of God. And there are many facets of God that he has built into human beings. And one of them is conscientious, purposeful work. Now the animal kingdom works, but the animal kingdom works instinctively. So a lion goes out hunting, that's hard work, but it's instinctive. Human beings, we do work above the level of instinct. And by instinct, I mean almost an involuntary kind of drive. That's what instinct is. But we do not just work at the same level as a lion or a tiger or a dog. We work at a level of purpose, conscientious purpose, where we structure work, we purposely execute it, we plan it. And in that sense, our work life is a part of us as human beings being built in the image of God. So now we understand that it's very important then that we portray that image or that part of our representation of God very accurately as Christians. So that's the theological background, basically. I think there's one other aspect of a theological background that I need to set. And that is that what happens to people, they think of work only in the context of the curse. So they say, okay, work is something, it was a curse, and so, you know, it gains a very negative perspective. The truth is, as I mentioned before, work started before the curse. Work is godlike. What the curse did is that the curse brought on an aspect of toil and hardship to work. That's the curse aspect, not work itself. That is what came on the matter of work. So we have set that stage, and we'll be looking very deeply at work, because we want all our people as Christians, I prefer to use the term believers, as believers, to really dig heavily into cleaning up their act in terms of how they portray their witness in work. Thank you very much.